The reason people aren't financially free is they don't know what to do and they don't know where to start. I want you to join Joey and I at the Virtual Inner Circle Live, April the 4th through the 6th, as we share with you the exact answers to those questions. We only do this event one time per year. I don't want you to miss out. Go to wealthwatchwallstreet.com/live and enter promo code podcast. When you're at this event, you're going to get your investor DNA. You're going to get access to up to 6 different passive income strategies. So you know, leaving this event, exactly what to do, taking our decades of knowledge so that you can start becoming financially free. Go to wealthwatchwallstreet.com/live and enter the promo code podcast. Okay, Stallion, we're breaking down passive income, the 3 new passive income streams that we brought on board in February of 2024, 3 new passive incomes that are coming on board in addition to those 3 in March. And then we're going to break down 3 lessons that we've learned from this whole process. So let's talk about the 3 new passive income sources. But actually, I got to stop you there. I can't do that. I got to say, where did we start? Right? Where did this whole, like, what's the process of this thing, right? So if you're watching this on YouTube, you get the benefit of seeing the Stallion's beautiful face, my cool passive income shirt, and you get to see the passive income journey, right? Like, this thing goes all the way back to December 2007 when I bought my first single family property. You're like, Russ, what did you do with the $85 a month that you were bringing home? Like, I don't see the report anywhere for that.
Dude, yeah, just stacking it up like pressboard.
Man, 100%. It was. I was stacking it up for 5 months until the unit above me flooded me out. And I paid Servpro for the next 12 months, basically, with that $85 a month. It wasn't good. And it took a long time to get it going. But if you are watching, you're looking at this list, you start to see there's a lot of steps to start happening. And if you see the green, you hear us talking about infinite banking. You want to know, why do we talk about infinite banking on the show so much? Because we would not have this show without infinite banking. There would have been no passive income report. This page would be blank because we wouldn't have done anything. Passive income was
okay. But why is that, Russ? I'm going to shut you down there for a second, because people hear that and they say, well, infinite banking, what does infinite banking have to even do with passive income? I think I have money, I put it into something, it creates passive income. What is infinite banking? Why was that such an important part of this whole process?
Having access to our cash gave us the ability to be forced to say, what do I do with it? Right? Like, I had no idea. You would have thought, as an investment advisor, I would have known what to do with money. All I knew is to put it in the stock market. But yet the stock market had crashed in 2008, and I didn't know what to do at that point. I didn't want to put it back in there because nobody that I was around had any clue, Stallion, of what was going on. I'm like, tell me. Like, I knew I didn't know, right? Even though I've been in the business for 4 years, I still knew that I knew very little about actually what made the market go up, what made it go down. And so I was going to these mentors who had all these great, answers for me up until that point. But they were like, it wasn't until like 2 or 3 years later when, we get this book Michael Lewis publishes called The Big Short, and he starts breaking it down. And we're like, oh, that's what happened. That's what happened. But none of us knew that. We had no clue. And so for me and you, I think, and most of us, is if we don't have access to our cash, what do? We abdicate the responsibility to somebody else. We hope that they take care of our money. We assume that they're going to. We are on this hope approach, and then we're working for the rest of our lives. So as we're building passive income was created by us having access to a lot of cash, because we were stacking a lot of cash there, Stack.
Well, and I'm going to just point this out really quickly about infinite banking. What is it? I asked myself this question this week. What is it about the vehicle of infinite banking? When I say vehicle, we use a very strategically designed whole life policy, or a system of policies, if you will, rather than a savings account. And I started thinking, well, couldn't we have just put the money in a savings account, and wouldn't that have drawn us to the same conclusion, like creating all this passive income? And the answer is absolutely not, because up to that point, that's what I had been doing. I'd been putting money in a savings account whenever I had excess money. And you know what? It stayed there, and it never once required me to think bigger than what was in that savings account. But when you put money in a whole life policy and you know it's going to grow guaranteed on a contractual basis for the rest of your life, and you have access to it to borrow against it to go do something else with it, it's kind of like, I can't even think of a great analogy right this second, Russ, but it's kind of like, why wouldn't I go and put that money to work? Because then I can get two for the price of one. I mean, I don't know about you. I'm a sucker for the bogan, right? I'm a sucker for those sort of deals. Well, if I go to the store and they've got two things, I get, buy one, get one free. Why wouldn't I get two? It's the same way with our policies, right? We have to put that money to work. And so I immediately said, what could I go do? And it revealed how much I did not know about being an investor. And so that started this journey, in my opinion. What would you say to that?
Well, okay. Well, I want to, if you're listening to us for the very first time, you're like, I thought I was going to hear 3 strategies on how to build passive income, where you guys got 3 new ones and all the 3 lessons. And we're getting there. If you want to fast forward past this part, but I think this is such an important part, and I had no intention for us to talk about this, but I'm pushing back on what you just said there just a little bit, Stallion. Because
I'm not shocked, by the way.
Having the cash, right, in an insurance policy, in a savings account, in your piggy bank, does not force you to do anything. And maybe I just said that a second ago. It doesn't force us to do anything. But when we got ourselves surrounded and by other people that were doing things with their money, we were like, oh, I wonder what I could do with this money. And the difference between what you and I have done with, stacking large amounts of cash values, hundreds of thousands of dollars annually into these insurance contracts for years now, right? Large 7 figures in cash values that we can use and have used to do stuff with. The reason that we did that is because we knew that we would have never done it in a savings account, right? You just wouldn't save that amount of cash in a savings account because you knew that it was earning nothing for you. But we knew that these insurance contracts had a way to earn 3, 4, 5%, whatever it is, and more importantly, earn it without having to pay the tax on it. So it was like earning 6 or 7%, right? If I had it in a taxable account, that's pretty good, given that it was like almost 100% safe. And we got all the benefits of being, the death benefit and creditor protection and yada, yada, yada. But it was when we had that cash available and we got in the right rooms. We started having conversations with cool people who were talking about how to do passive income deals. And we were like, we've got cash. And that's the number one obstacle for most people to becoming financially free is what, Stallion?
Having lack of access to cash.
They have lack of access to cash. They don't have enough. They got a little bit, right? They got the little savings account amount. They got the piggy bank amount. Maybe they got their little whole life policy because they didn't put any money in it. It's a penny any deal because they've been putting pennies in. But you and I were putting big dollars in this thing. And it obviously then with that knowledge and access to people, it started to unlock the idea of what do we do with it. And so you can see on the screen right now as we're talking about the different passive income streams we've done. We've done a lot of different deals. There's some on here that have read that those reds are losses. We've lost hundreds of thousands of dollars in this process too. And we're not afraid to talk about what went right and what went wrong, because to me, this is just a great learning lesson. It's a great opportunity for us to share. So Stallion, let's talk about the deals that we've done and how those are panning out. So first, for those persons who are joining us for the very first time, never heard this before, we like to share kind of like, where it started, where it's going. So when we first started this passive income report in July of 2020, we brought in a whopping $2,447.52. And then last year, as the whole year, we averaged a little over 47,000. So not too bad, right? We'd take that. And obviously we have a goal this year, Stallion, to growing it 25%. So let's talk about this month, February of 2024. What were those 3 new sources that we brought on board?
So we brought on a content website, earthlygo.com. We invested in 2 multifamily syndications. So those are the 3 new ones that started to pay out in February.
Okay, so help me understand why a content website. What is a content website? Is it all websites content?
Well, I'll tell you what. Yeah, they all have content, but some of them actually get paid for that content through affiliates, through ads, through various different sources. And how did we learn this? We learned this by talking with our friend Sophie Howard, right? You heard her on the podcast before. She's actually going to be at our virtual Inner Circle Live here within a couple of weeks. And she has an amazing course that you, me, and our oldest daughters all went through, the Freedom Navigator. In fact, you can get access to that at wealthwithoutwallstreet.com/Freedom Navigator. And it took some time, right? This was probably a 6 to 8 week investment of an hour a week going through the coursework and getting on a call with their team. And that was actually kind of a bonus she did for us, right?
But why was this interesting to you? What did you see in it that made you want to be willing to spend an hour a week for 6 to 8 weeks?
Well, you've heard us talk about investor DNA, right? That's how God has created each of us to see the different investments and which things align with us. And when we went through that process with our daughters, it was clear that my daughter Lily Kate was really drawn to this as a passive income source. And so one of the things that Russ and I are passionate about is trying to pass down this knowledge to our kids. I know it's important to you as well. Many of you attend our events and bring your children. And so when we did this, I was like, man, I need to invest in her and go through this process with her so that we can buy a content website together, assuming that we like the strategy going through the process.
So it matches your DNA, but okay, look, bro, I'm all about like, show me the money. What's the money deal? Like what in there did you like, oh, is this just going to be a great education? Like, am I going to invest money in something that's not going to make any money? What's the opportunity that you saw in it?
Well, I'll tell you this, it's a sliding scale because there's some content websites that are making a couple $100s a month. Some of them are not making any money. Some of them are making tens of $1,000s a month because they built this whole infrastructure of affiliate links, ads, different contributors, sponsorships. There's all sort of things. Well, this particular website, this earthlygo.com, is a very niche website that our family actually uses the product that it's talking about. And
Stallion, I want to punch you through this screen right now. What's the money? Tell me the money, man. You keep telling me about all these other things. I want to know about the money.
Dude,
how much money?
I'm getting there. I'm getting there. This thing was $16,000, and it's making about $2,000 a month passively.
Okay,
with no maintenance whatsoever.
All right. So, by the way, this is why I love this guy so much. Like, he is so patient with me because I can just frustrate the time out of him. And as long as it took him to tell you that he spent $16,000 to make $2,000 a month, like, what? That'd be the first thing that came out of my mouth. I would be like, bro, I just made $2,000. What's the math on that, Stallion? What's the ROI on that?
I'm not going to do math on the fly like that, but I'm expecting to get my money back within 8 to 10 months.
Come on, man. I got an Excel spreadsheet in front of me. We could do this math really quickly, right? Sorry, I have to realize I have to multiply that times 12. So
yeah, it's fantastic. It's fantastic. It's over 100%. How about that?
It's over 100%. So this is what you're dealing with. This guy is crushing it. And all he wants to tell you about is all these things. It's 149% return on investment. Is that good?
I'm okay with that.
That's what I would have known at the beginning. I'd be like, bro, tell me how that a Turo deal did for you. Like, this is where you could be like, I know you bust me on 100 Unicorns, another site Joey bought that has been a complete dog forever and has lost money. He can be like, I turned around and totally redeemed myself. I got a site that's producing 149% return on investment right now.
And it's completely hands off. Literally, I'll go in there every couple of days and just look at these different affiliate sites, and all of a sudden there's money. There's money in it. It's just amazing.
So the three things that you love about it is, one, your daughter enjoys it. Two, it matches up with your investor DNA, which is completely hands off. And three, I mean, because this is for you because you don't care about the money, it earned 149% ROI.
Exactly. But
okay.
I'll add a fourth one. There are services out there that you can actually offload 100% of the management, content creation, ads, all the things can be completely handed off.
We're coming back to that. I think that's a lesson that we're going to share at the end. So you're getting ahead of this.
Lessons, Russ. Come on. What do
You're getting into lessons. I'm just trying to get you to tell me about the first deal that we had on the board for February, we're in the month of February. We totally, as a total, we brought in $30,894.76 net in passive income. So, it's moving. It's just, not as much as I wanted to. But the second deal, right? The second deal, Stallion, that we did is that we went out, invested into a multifamily project, right? With some friends of ours, and that we made an investment late in the year. Yeah. And then the first kind of like partial quarterly payment came in, right? So I think it was $348.34, right? So if I'm doing the math at home, that's not quite the 149%. A little frustrated by that one. That returns closer to 4%. But I know that was a partial month. Those numbers are getting better. So people want to know, like, hey, how that would do. What is it that you liked about the multifamily space and invested in that syndication?
Well, so it's always operator, right? So this is the Integrity Holding Group that we love their perspective on multifamily. Number one, they're about profit. They're about turning in value add creation of all the projects that they're doing. But even part of their value creation model is to add a way of giving back to the community. They have people that literally live on site that they donate an apartment to that is in charge of helping the health of that community. They partner with local churches to provide additional support to people there. There's all these added benefits that they do that then also give back to the world. And so it's not just about the profits, but it's also about the impact.
Okay. So
what would you add to that?
Well, I like the fact that we know the operator. I like the fact that it's hands off. The value add to the community is an added plus, right? Like, if it can be a win-win for them. And I like the fact that we were sitting on cash last year. We were thinking about building our own fund, and it was like, man, do we really want to go through this process of starting our own investment fund, having to build operators in all these places, having to do the research on all the different deals when there's people that we know who are good at what they do and they do this every single day? Like, yes, I'm going to take a little bit of a haircut, right? I'm not going to get to keep all the money, but I'm close enough to the deal that I can still get decent returns and just allow the passivity of the thing to inspire me. That's what I liked about it. The third deal on the board is another actually multifamily thing. It's like, man, we got all excited about multifamily at the end of the year, man. And I would tell you, and the one thing I left off about, one of the things I love about the multifamily space is I love the depreciation.
Yeah.
If you guys aren't familiar with the depreciation of these big, huge real estate projects, is that they offer an opportunity for us to write off some income, right? Ways to get revenue, right? Because we want the revenue, we want the money, but we don't want to have to report it as income because that's when we pay taxes. So two of the deals that we did at the end of last year, we made investments in projects that gave us big write-offs from a tax standpoint. And the last one on here, Stallion, in the month of February, we brought in $1,350 on a $100,000 investment that we made. Now that was actually, technically it was 2 months kind of combined there. So it's not as good as it looks, but it was pretty good. So 16% ROI on that one, if you're doing the math at home.
And by the way, those are our friends at ARC Multifamily. We've known them for a long time, and they've had a track record of growing these projects, adding a lot of value, a lot of times buying them undervalued to begin with by 20 to 25%. And so that added with the depreciation aspect, man, I'm really excited about that project. And it's also closer to us. It's over here in the Georgia area. And so just familiarity, I think, is also important.
Okay, so those are the three deals that came on the board in the month of February. So we were able to bring in, man, just in those three deals alone, $3,695.83 that we didn't have last month in January's report. So that's pretty cool, right? That's making as making progress.
Right.
Let's talk about the 3 new projects that we're bringing on that's going to be added to these 3 in the month of March. We're obviously going to give you guys the numbers in March, but let's just talk about the deals that we're bringing in today.
Well, the first one I'm excited about is I'm going to take you back to the 90s, and I'm going to bring you into our LLC, Vanilla Ice LLC. Yes, I said that. If you think about the Ice Baby, if you were in the roller skating rink like I was, crushing that song, we got to be excited about our ice vending machine business that is just coming online here in the month of March. And but there's a lot of lessons learned around this.
Well, so Stallion, this is the beautiful thing that you wanted the LLC Ice Baby, but somebody had already taken that one. So like you are not unique in the fact.
Do it.
Oh man. Definitely. Yeah. We're going to break down this one in just a second, because there's a lot of lessons in this ice business that we've been learning firsthand. And one of our partners right now is actually standing in the rain, trying to get this thing ready to start spitting out ice and getting paid today. It's raining where it's located, and you've got to run it through these cycles and do all these things. It's just now like literally been powered up and kind of been given the okay to go, and you have to run it for a couple of days and spit out some ice and get all the, clean it out, all the whatever that is. I have no idea. I'm glad I'm not the one doing it, but grateful for our partner who's doing that stuff for us. So we'll talk a little bit about that, but I'm excited that there's an opportunity. It's something I can drive by. It's actually between me and the lake I go to. I can take my kids and I'd be like, look, that's our ice machine right there. And I'd be like, okay. And my son has a little snow cone machine and snow cone business he calls, Arctic Snow. I'm like, we're going to take that thing down here the next sunny weekend day. I'm going to take him down there. We're going to have a grand opening for Vanilla Ice, and I'm going to give away some free snow cones. I'll just use the ice out of our machine, Stallion. I hope you're okay with that.
I'm expecting you to be one of our biggest customers.
Exactly.
If you've listened to our show for any length of time, you've heard us talk about infinite banking and how we were able to use that concept to create over $50,000 a month in passive income. But it's just not that easy to figure out, how does this all connect into my own personal system?
Stallion, that's why we created the passive income operating system, bro. It shows you how to turn active income into passive income. It makes all the steps come together. If you would like to get access to it as a podcast listener, we've never given this away in public before, go to what'swhatwallstreet.com/PIOS. There was nothing worse than walking into class when you're in school and the teacher saying, pop quiz day. Why? Because you were unprepared. Are you unprepared though for financial freedom?
Don't be. Find out how close you are by taking our 30-second quiz at wealthwithoutwallstreet.com/quiz.
All right. So the second one that's coming on board next month is what?
So we get invested in a mobile home park. We've talked about this one before, but our friends over at Cultivate Collective, this is what they do. They buy and sell value add mobile home parks. This one happens to be located in South Carolina. It's actually multiple in a portfolio, and really excited about the business plan that they put together, and the operator. I mean, again, it's operator drives everything, and so very excited to see how that one performs.
Yeah, and we've already collected the check in the month of March, so we'll be reporting on in March. So I love the fact that it created cash flow immediately,
Quickly,
right? Like
yes.
It's a deal that's our love language. If it can create passive income quickly, that makes us happy. That helps us understand the deal and how it's working, right? So that's a good deal. And then the last one that's coming on board in the month of March is what, Stan?
That is the oil and gas fund that we invested in with our friends over at Aspen Funds. And they partnered with an operator there locally near the Kansas City area. And man, this is a already producing oil and gas fund. So it's not like the speculative oil and gas that you've probably heard of a lot in the past. This one, we're already producing wells that they went ahead and purchased, and then they're going to continue to add to that. Really excited to say, man, there's tax benefits along with immediate cash flow. Normally, these sort of projects are 12 to 24 months before you see a dollar. And man, I'm happy to report in the month of March, literally, we made the investment.
No, don't say the number.
I'm not letting the cat out of the bag. I'm just saying, in the time frame from the end of January to beginning of March, we saw the first payday. So that is really exciting.
Well, here's the thing. If you don't understand what he's saying, think about it is that you go buy a piece of real estate that already has a renter in it, that already has income, and all you did was pay the owner for that, and then the rental income just started coming to you. Or the same thing with the business. You already have there's a business out there that's profitable, and you just go pay the owner for the business, and you take it over, and you start collecting the profit. That's what's happening here. Is there already wells that are producing revenue, and they just went in and bought the existing real. So they paid a premium, obviously, to buy it, but it's spitting out income. And the beautiful thing is that income is pretty good. Now, the speculative part to this is that you don't know how long it will spit out oil, right? There's no guarantee to that. And we know this, and we're always hesitant to on these oil and gas deals because we've been burned before, literally and figuratively, I guess, on that. And so just, when we talk about deals, please don't hear us saying, hey, you should go do these deals. We're only sharing because we want to lead from the front, just tell you what we're doing so that way you learn from all the mistakes. If any of these things go bad, we'll equally tell you that as well. So for us, those are the 3 deals that we are bringing on in February. Let's talk about lessons, right? I think the lessons behind a couple things that we learned last month are super important that we should break down for everybody. One lesson in this ice machine. What would you say in this process? Somebody's like, should I start doing the ice vending business? Is this really going to be super valuable to me? What would you tell them? What have you learned so far?
Man, I will tell you this. We don't have a lot of experience or any experience. So the idea of knowing exactly what it's going to produce is a complete guess. We went off of some due diligence that has been done with these sort of operators in the past and based it off of number of bags sold per day, the expense of operating the machine, stuff like that. All that goes into, the projections, but projections are just projections. The location drives everything. Now, I'm happy to say, and praise the Lord, we were able to get a location that is on a major highway, and it is very prominently located where it's not going to be easily missed.
Yeah, it's a major highway right at a red light, by the way. I mean, exactly. And it's in a little small, it's a little small town, it's a stop. People, I don't know how many cars, hundreds of thousands of cars go down this road every single day, but it's like a little bitty small town that it's at. So they stop at this red light, and there's a little Jack's on one side that used to be there's a gas station right next to it. And there this thing sits in the wide open, screaming, hey, you're pulling your boat down to the lake, or hey, you're going, and for those of us in Alabama, they're going down to the University of Alabama, Auburn, and they're on their way to, watch Auburn, play basketball, football, equestrian. I don't care what they're doing. As long as they're taking a cooler, right? And they need ice. Stop by, we got ice.
That's right. But here's the things that I've learned. You would think this thing looks like, just so you know, a Coke machine. In fact, Russ, I don't know if you have a picture you want to share here, but literally it looks like a Coke machine as far as the size. It's a little bit bigger than that. And you think, what could be difficult about that, right? You just find a location and you go plug it in, right? Is that how easy it is, friends?
No, sir. That is not how this thing works. There is so much involved in this deal. So first you got to get water to it. Then you got to get power to it. Then you have to have a really good place for it to sit, a level place for it to sit. And all of these things require, permits, licenses, engineers. You got to make sure you're ADA compliant. Oh my goodness.
You got to have what do they call a bollard in front of it so people don't run over it, right?
Oh yeah,
Pull up. You got to have
or a wheel stop. I mean, we've learned more terms. Like I've never heard the term wheel stop in Bullard before, and they're like, oh yeah, these are the things that are in parking lots where people don't run into this thing. I'm like, oh, cool. So if you're looking and you're seeing this is where it was in the crate when it was delivered, but there's all these little things that you have no clue about. But man, we have such an amazing friend of the show who was like, hey, I have a spot on this major thoroughfare. I own some land there. I had a storage facility near there, all this different stuff. And I love it if you guys would want to put this there. I think that'd be so cool to talk about. And we're like, yes, this is amazing. And because of his background, only because of his generosity, are we in a position where we are, Stallion? Because he actually worked with the city. He dealt with a lot of the permitting. He met a lot of the contractors who had to dig the trench with the power to get it to it, the water to get to it, all of that stuff. He connected us to the people. He even got like somebody that brought a forklift and got it off the little crate that it was sitting on or whatever. There's been so many blessings, and so grateful for him.
Without him being involved, what's the over under on how fast we got this thing set up?
Yeah, that thing would be sitting over there at Casa Mure, and my guess is that your youngest two daughters would be like throwing rocks at it or something. I don't know, man.
This thing would have been a complete disaster if we did not have somebody really help us with it. And so that's my warning to you on this. This is not a small investment, right? This is a $50,000 investment that has the potential. I'm saying potential because nobody knows the projections at this point, except for on paper. It could produce as much as $2,000 a month in net income as long as we get 40 bags of ice per day bought. Okay?
Well, 40 bags of ice per day plus like, I don't know, what is that? Like 50 gallons of filtered water. Like there's a lot of little numbers in here that we will gladly show. I'd love to know in the comments of this. Are you guys betting on this to outperform 100-unit cars? Like, so in the comments at some point, I want somebody to put vanilla ice if you think this is going to outperform 100-unit cars, and put 100-unit cars. Like, I'm not certain which one of these things are going to be dead cold or not. Like,
dead cold. Hey, do not sleep on 100-unit cars. I'm just telling you right now. Okay.
I will say this. This is one of the fun parts about this is like just figuring all of this out, wheeling and dealing, having conversations with, we actually had conversations with multiple different people about where to put this. And, I love the negotiation part. I mean, this is fun. If we make money in this thing, it'll make it better. Clearly we're here to make money, but it's one of those things I'd love to just have this experience and be able to share it with you, team. And if this works, I will be finding 10 more locations for these to go to. Like, this will be an easy thing because now that we know all the stuff in advance, then we're going to have to hire it out because it's unlikely we're going to find another landlord or property owner where we're going to be putting this is going to be willing to jump through all the hoops. But at least we know what we're getting into. We had no clue what we were getting into.
Right.
So if you're interested in the Everest Ice experience, hold tight.
Stay tuned.
Let's just go through this process for you. All right. Next lesson that we learned. So you might remember if you've been following the show for a long time, is we used to have a short-term rental business. We actually sold those short-term rental business to the operator of that business. And man, recently there was an experience that he had in one of his apartment complexes that he had 10 units in that I thought, oh, wow, we didn't see that coming. And I thought, well, there's many of you that have taken our course or wanting to take the course on the short-term rental. And we want to give you this kind of experience so that way you can learn from it. But Stallion, he got toward the end of January, a really, I don't know how you would describe it, a bad phone call, maybe.
Exactly. The new owners of that apartment complex have basically nixed all corporate housing contracts. So he fell into that same bucket, having multiple units through the corporation, and I was just totally blindsided. Right?
Not multiple, bro. He had 10 units in this complex, and they stinking booted all corporate rentals out.
Yeah. So he had basically, 3 months to essentially pivot and figure out what he was going to do. And so that's where the conversation started with us.
Yeah. So just preparing you for running a short-term rental business, you're doing the arbitrage model, and you're using, for instance, apartment complexes. There is that potential out there, right? So you need to be really cautious as what your backup plans are, what your plan B is. And that's what really, I think a lot of the conversation came into. How do you pivot out of that? What are the different options? And so we were, one, we were owner financing the deal to him. So we got into obviously helping him trying to renegotiate the owner financing terms. And that was the first time since Joey, lent money to the lady who had the shampoo bottles in the back of her trunk, that he was having to renegotiate owner finance terms. And it was fun to watch the stallion at work here, man. He was like getting creative, saying, all right, yeah, I think we could put this on pause. We can do this, we can do this. But more importantly, it was like, what are the options of how do you help this business owner take action? And what I love about it, when we're as entrepreneurs, man, we think so much differently than the world, right? Some people just take a bad beat and they just take it to the house. They're just done, right? They're crying. You see them on TV in the middle of March Madness right now. You're going to be seeing fans walking out the door, kids walking out the door, crying, assume that there is no other option. But we know as entrepreneurs, we're going to take beats, right? We're going to take some L's. But at the end of the day, we know that there's opportunities. There's ways for us to turn those L's into wins. And this is kind of what we started talking about with him, Stallion, is like, there's some more strategies here. There's some different ways in which you can create income. And I thought one really creative way that we shared, I would let you talk about.
Yeah, no, the big opportunity that we know that he has, not to bring up 100 unicorns or anything, but man, somebody that knows how to manage a short-term rental is a unicorn. In today's environment, it is not every day that you find somebody like that. And so we said, why wouldn't you go and co-host as many units as possible? Get with other people who have rental properties that they don't want to manage themselves on the short-term side, and give them the opportunity to partner with you. That gives you immediately cash flow from someone else's asset. And by the way, you have all this furniture from these 10 units that need to be redeployed. You could sell the furniture for immediate cash to that investor, which they'd be grateful for, because who has a bunch of furniture in an empty rental anyway? That, this gives them immediate opportunity to operate. And man, he was like, this is great. Like, this is awesome. He can immediately put that into play.
Yeah, I love the sell or rent your furniture model. Like, immediately you can start cash flowing on an asset that you already own. And I think he's working on that process. And I do think the pivot is the midterm rental space. And, we've got a podcast coming out soon. The student housing space, maybe that's in there too. But the midterm rental space, I think, is a way for short-term rental operators to make their portfolio way more predictable, because you have a lot less ups and downs with the month, and you find these properties that you can be in and rent them out to families of 4 to 8 people, and they're there for 3 to 14 months sometimes. And I've got a family member right now that is getting that is displaced out of their house because of a fire, and the insurance company's paying $5,000 a month for them to stay in a property. I mean, that's just guaranteed cash, comes every single month from the insurance company.
Right.
I mean, like, that's a real opportunity. And we're looking actually for properties right now that we can do that on, because I think that's a great way to get into the rental game as well. All right. Last lesson. And this is something we started touching on a second ago, Stallion, but somebody looking at our report noticed that we had put in like $400,000 into these different syndications at the end of the year, right? But if they looked at your content website and what you and I had put into the vending machine, the ice vending machine, it was only $50,000. And there's probably an insight or a lesson from that. What would you share about it?
Well, I think first and foremost, I'm willing to put more money into something that is more known, like known operators, known business plan, track record, all those things. So those syndications are with people who have done this over and over and over. You mentioned it before. These are professional investors. And now you take the opposite side and you say, hey, Joey, how many content websites have you bought that have actually made money? Okay, we're not going to talk about 100 unicorns anymore. But the point is, not many. And just as another learning lesson, man, when I was taking over this website from the guy I bought it from, I had to pay him an extra $250 just to help me put the new affiliate links that I had to go and create into the website so that I could continue to get paid. I didn't even know how to do that. I mean, I'm just telling you.
An extra $250, huh? That's some cheap labor, bro. I take that.
Hey, I don't know how many hours it took him, but it would take me an eternity to figure it out. So it was cheap to me. But the point is, I'm willing to invest less on something that is a trial run. In this case, if this content website thing grows and continues to do as well as it is, I'll put more money into it because now I'll have that track record. I'll have the knowledge. I'll have the experience of, man, who are the people that I can bring into this team to grow a portfolio of these? But until then, I'm going to start small. What would you add to that, Russ?
Yeah, I think that there's two lessons, right? Some of us have more time than we have money. Some of us have more money than we have time. And the active things maybe require more time than money. Not always, but sometimes. And in this example, right, the ice vending machine and the content site don't require a lot of money to get involved in them. And money's relative, right? Money's a commodity. I know that we can go out and get money. Once you have a deal, you have experience, right? Then now you can trade that. That's called a joint venture, right? Well, that's when money and experience come together. And our mentor, Nelson Ash, would say usually by the end of those deals, they switch places, right? Now the person with experience has got the money and the person who had the money got the experience. But that's where you can take experience. So if you figure out one of these active strategies, no matter what strategy it is, and you have that experience, you can always go out and partner with money. And I think that's really cool for us to see this, right? We're giving people, you're giving your daughters an opportunity to learn and gain experience in the website stuff. We're giving one of our good friends who is wanting to start building passive income. She's gaining experience by learning how to do this. And, it's easy to partner the money in the deal, gain the experience. You can always pour capital into things. Well, the opposite is true where, hey, got money, have been building up cash values in these insurance contracts we talked about at the beginning and looking to deploy it, looking to create more passive income than a monthly expense. Because when we take a loan from the insurance company, not from our insurance policies, we don't take money out of our insurance policies or out of our cash values. No, we leverage the insurance company's money. We go to them. We took out $405,000 and some change, and we took their money while ours stayed in those insurance contracts still earning, and we went and gave it to operators. Now, that created an interest expense. Now, we would only do that if the production of passive income on the opposite side was greater than what it cost us. And just think about it like this way. People will say, well, man, you're borrowing money. I don't like borrowing money. Like I've always been, opposed to borrowing money. I said, okay, well, just think about those loans that we took and the interest we're paying is the machine is a money printing machine. And the loan is the electric bill that has to power the machine. If the machine is printing out more dollars than it costs you every month for the electric bill, when would you unplug the machine?
Never. You would never do that. So we're looking at it as that if those two are not aligned, we don't do it. It's easy to say, well, I would not pay more in electric bills than it would actually produce a revenue. We had that conversation a long time ago with our Ethereum miners, right, that we had. That's right.
All right. Well, this has been a lot. I know we've covered a ton here. Let's wrap this up so we can get on to the next episode.
Well, two things. All this is great information, but we want to give you opportunity to take action, right? You've just heard Russ talk about infinite banking, how it was the beginning of all this, how it's constantly being used in this process. If you don't have that, if you're like, man, I need to get this set up, call us right now at wealthwithoutwallstreet.com/free call. Like, set up that call with one of our coaches, get started with our Infinite Banking Accelerator. But number two, if you want to learn more on the passive income side and you need help becoming the investor that you want to be, you need to be at our virtual Inner Circle Live. It's coming up in April, and it is amazing. You get to do all this from the comfort of your own home. You don't have the travel expense. And we've got a discount for you right now. So go to wealthwithoutwallstreet.com/live and use the promo code podcast. You get to save 50% off of your ticket. You're going to hear from all these passive income gurus. You're going to get the frameworks that will help you to make the financial freedom journey happen as fast as possible. And you're going to learn exactly what investor you are. This is for you. We want to help you get there. If you found value today, if you'll just do us a favor, take a picture of this on your phone and share it on social media. Tag us. Let us know this is the kind of content that you need more of, so we can double up on this report. I don't know, whatever we need to do to help get you what you need to get to financial freedom. Thanks, and have an amazing day.
This has been the Wealth Without Wall Street podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to the show to break free of the Wall Street mindset and begin building wealth on your own terms in places you understand, so that your wealth will never run dry. See you next episode.